more story. One more story. Katie, you know every horror franchise needs at least 3 to make a trilogy. You too. Okay, but this is the final one. Understood? Yay! Okay, here goes. Once upon a time, there was this radio host. He was a tall and gangly fellow with long black hair, and he made no secret about how he felt about podcasts and podcasters. But one day, he got pulled in to a true crime podcast called Crime, True Crime. Not long ago, there was this sleepy little town. It had just hit its own version of a tech boom. The IT manager was reaching burnout mode, and he was facing this silent but not uncommon terror. By day, everything seemed normal. Users had what they needed, business moved along smoothly, but in the shadows of the night, whispers of unauthorized software and rogue applications haunted the network. The deeper he dug, the more there was. Eventually, there was so much that he didn't even know the meaning of the word much anymore. What he did know was that it was costing his company a fortune, and he didn't even know where to begin. Yeah, now, hold on a minute. You're telling me you want me and your audience to believe, and I'm having a hard time believing that you have an audience, that unauthorized software just started popping up out of nowhere. Look, Howie, netizens and online research give compelling evidence that shadow SaaS is a real thing. So, without further ado, let's dive in. He tossed and turned in his bed, taking the sheets with him every which way. The nightmares had been going on a while. He could pinpoint that very first moment when they started. A renewal dropped on his desk. He had no idea of who bought it, what it was for, or how it even got ordered in the first place. As time went on, more kept appearing. And soon he spiraled further and deeper into these dark nightmares. He began to think there was no way out. The shadowy figures of unauthorized purchases crept through his dream world like fog in a graveyard, scraping nails across the surface that could not be scratched. It all started with a solitary user. One was all it took. They didn't need no stinking admin rights. All they needed was a credit card and a browser. And before you knew it, one user told another, and that user told another, and so on, until the network was plagued by new IP targets, and uncontrolled spend challenged the renewal team. Pandora's box had flung wide open. Apps were multiplying faster than he could even meter. Chargebacks for SaaS purchases were flooding the finance department. Multiple portals for the exact same product were being stood up with no standards or security protocols. There was no ability to budget or forecast. It couldn't keep moving at this rate. Was there no control in sight? The chaotic spread of Shadow SaaS seemed unstoppable. Visions of consolidation and co-terming danced in his head. The promise of harvesting unused licenses was almost at his fingertips, but well outside of his grasp. The buckets of sweat flooded his bed, and he was plummeting further and further to the depths of the bottomless pool of subscriptions. Helplessly, he thrashed his arms towards the surface, seeing himself being pulled further and further away from it, falling victim to the SaaS abyss. The alarm sounded, and he bolted upright. There was time. There was still time. But Katie, if he had just told himself that Shadow SaaS didn't exist, that it wasn't real, wouldn't it just go away? No, that only happens in the movies. But if they consolidated, co-termed, and looked for redundant applications, that would be a good start. Well, what about controlling admin rights or creating policies to prevent P-card purchase refunds? Wouldn't that help? Spot on, little one. Yay! The trilogy is complete, and you two have a date with the Sandman. Off to bed you go. Thanks, Katie. You know, ITAM isn't so scary if it's done right.